So here we have our 98 four-door Integra. We just picked it up the other day for 1,800 over in about an hour away from here. The seller had it for $2,000 and the car is actually running, but then he said that there's a third cylinder misfire. So it was able to drive home, though we drove it about 40 miles to get it back home. The idle was okay. It never stalled out, but it just had a really rough idle. So anyways, we got it back, and then pretty much I already took off the valve cover because I went through the car with my friend and we were checking some things. So it was the third cylinder that was having an issue, so that'd be this one here. We found that the first, second, and fourth cylinder were just fine. So we started doing some testing. We took out the spark plugs, found out that the previous owner already changed the spark plugs, hoping that that would fix it. And then he also changed the spark plug wires, hoping that would fix it too, but he was still having issues. So pretty much we took off the distributor, checked inside there. We noticed that the prongs had some corrosion on it, so we cleaned that off, put it back on, and it was still misfiring the third cylinder. So then what we did is we unplugged the fuel injectors one by one. We started with the first fuel injector, unplugged it. The car would bog down a little bit, so we plugged it back in. Second one, same thing. Third one, unplugged it, nothing happened at all. It was idling, it's still how it was, kind of on the low end of the RPM. So then we plugged that back in. Did the fourth one, it bogged down again. So we realized that the third cylinder wasn't doing anything at all. It was just, I did the same thing, pulled the spark plug wire out, and the car was still idling the same. Wasn't idling the best, but it was still idling. So then we came to the conclusion that the spark plug was fine, because you could hear the clicking or the sparking from the wire when you unplug that. And then we swapped injectors with another cylinder, but found that the third cylinder was still bad. So now we're thinking that it's probably either one of the valves are bent or stuck open, or the piston rings are bad. So what I did is ordered a leak down tester and a endoscope, which is basically a camera that I'll be able to feed down into the spark plug hole and inspect if there's any damages in there, if we can see any scratches on the cylinder, or see if any of the valves are bent before we open it up. And then we have the leak down tester too, where we'll feed compressed air into the engine, and then we'll see if air is leaking out from anywhere, such as like the exhaust or one of the valve seals or the valve itself. So aside from that, the car's been running. I mean, the car runs. It has the AC works, heater works, cruise control, everything else is fully functional on the car, and pretty much everything in here is all stock except for some minor things, such as the windshield washer cap was missing, or it's actually, you can see it over there in the corner, but it's actually broken off. So then what I did was just 3D printed one with a PETG material, just as an easy replacement. But I'll probably do something about this at some point, probably cut a slit in here just so I could feed it around this new cap. But for now, that would just stay like that. And then the fuse box cover is missing, so maybe we'll visit a junkyard, see if we can find another one of those, but that's not a huge deal. But I do want to kind of restore this engine bay to make it look new again. And if you check over here, you could also see that there's a little bit of oil leak. So I don't know if that oil leak came from the valve cover or maybe distributor. So originally I was going to leave it as that and then try to track down where the leak might be coming from. But then once I was taking this apart, I realized that the previous owner did recently change the gasket here for the valve cover. So then we'll probably end up just pressure washing everything after we get the car running again, and then we'll see if any new oil comes out, and from there we'll track down what might be leaking. But aside from that, the rest of the car is pretty good condition. I mean, the body is mostly all original. We checked the doors, the hood, and the trunk, and that's all OEM VIN number. But there was a repair that we found today over here on the passenger side. It looks like this door was dented at some point, so then they did a repair on it with paint, and then we found that there's probably a little bit of Bondo behind there. In the video you might not be able to notice, but in photos you can see that there's a little bit of a color difference with the repair job versus the original. So aside from that, let me show you the interior here. So this is we're not sure exactly what model this is, we haven't checked yet, but it's either the SE or the GS model, since it has the leather interior, black leather with the gray accent. And you want to check over here, the carpet's in decent condition. I mean, it has, you know, what is 98 and now it's 2025, so it has a good amount of wear on it. But I think one of the things we'll do is replace that main carpet with probably a black one, and they go for about $200 that I found on eBay. So I'll find one of those eventually, and then we'll swap it out. But yeah, all the windows work. Here's the back seats. Back seats all pretty good condition too. The only big issue as far as the interior goes is the driver's seat. There's a tear on the lumbar from getting in and out. So I think we'll see if we can find another gray matching seat for the driver, or if not, we'll probably switch it out to some aftermarket bucket seats. So yeah, now to the back of the car. The trunk is mostly all there. You get all the OEM trunk panels here, and then the carpet here. You still have that OEM cardboard thing, but it does have a good amount of water in here. And let me see if I can pop this out. It was raining yesterday, and you can see all that water puddle down there. So it is kind of a common issue with these Integras. It's what I found. It's either one of two things. One would be the taillight gaskets leaking, so then when it's raining, the water runs down this trunk line here behind the taillight, and then it starts leaking in there. And the second thing would be the sunroof drain. So the sunroof has a hose that comes from the top along the body line here, and the drain, I think it's somewhere behind the taillight there. And sometimes if that gets clogged up, it'll back up and start leaking into the trunk, or if the hose gets brittle. So once we get the engine situated, we'll get into this trunk and then try to find out where that leak is and try to dry all this up. Maybe we'll most likely get a new panel here, because this one's pretty bad shape and there's a little bit of mold growing on there. So we're gonna have to definitely get rid of this, and then we'll dry out the interior, or the trunk at least, and then probably wet shampoo all the carpet in here. But there it is. There's our 98 Integra automatic. There's a little surging in the automatic transmission also, but it might just be the transmission fluid, so we'll end up doing a transmission flush and drain 3 times to see if that solves the issue. Aside from that, here's the tear on the driver's seat. So it's not a huge one. I was hoping I could find a replacement leather part for that, but I don't think they make it for this car, so we'll probably have to change the seat out. But yeah, so in the next video we'll be doing some more engine diagnostics to try to track down exactly what's going on with the engine, and then from there we'll do another video with repairing it. So I look forward to cleaning this car up and getting to finally drive it.
The record button. Oh wait, no. It's recorded.
Oh
no,
my
it's
god! I was gonna be like, don't tell me we just did not record any of that.
I'm pretty much. I was like, I don't see it recording anymore. Okay, so just press this.
Yes.